Good afternoon, all. The topic of webinar is a very burning question right now. That is renewable energy. Okay, and that is 100% renewable energy. Is it possible, or it just an illusion? So illusion or reality? So before proceeding ahead with our webinar and the discussion, I will share brief information which you can refer during this discussion. So let me share the screen. Okay. Now, to start with, just quick introduction of mine. I am Mandar, MYP coordinator from Wockhardt Global School, which is IB Continuum School from Aurangabad, the only IB school in Aurangabad. I am physics facilitator and TOK facilitator as well as examiner for IB. I'm teaching in MYP as well as in DP as well. So with this brief introduction, I will start why I've chosen this topic. As you can see on the slide, recently in month of November, many newspapers or even maybe the news channels had shared one news regarding power or energy crisis, mainly in China and India. This was just last month only, during Diwali or just prior to Diwali. The main highlights of the news are mentioned below. So the bold content is taken from the Business Standard newspaper highlights what was the news in brief. So it mentions the crisis was triggered as post-pandemic rebound in industrial activity added demand for electricity, just as coal supply declined in the two top consuming nations. As we are aware, India and China, the two biggest country population wise, huge demand for energy and power, and they take maximum power still from the coal output. So during lockdown, it was possible to have with minimum coal output to run the show. But now there is no more lockdown and industrial activity began to take place. Suddenly there was a surge in demand for energy, and that created the problem of shortage of coal. So output was crimped in India as heavy rains flooded key production hubs, while China has been reducing capacity and imposed safety standards, because of which they have lowered the production rates. Still, there are ongoing challenges, though both the governments took in-time action and ensured that these crises are handled well. Still, there are ongoing challenges. And to respond to that, India's Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi has asked state-run miner, which is Coal India, the largest producer of the coal, government-owned organization, to ensure stocks at power plants, an average of 18 days of stock, so that we can deal with our demand well in time. In China, some utilities haven't completed winter restocking and insist there is only limited additional supply available, and several industrial sectors that are large energy users continue to have power supply curtail. There was a power cut down in many leading cities of China. In one time, it was around 20 cities in China. They were facing the power cut down. So this was the magnitude of the crisis, mainly in China and in India, because of coal curtail the coal output. Now, when I read this news, okay, and looking at our present situation of fuel prices, especially in India, the prices are skyrocketing. Okay, so this led to have this discussion of current topic. And also, United Nations has already declared clean energy as one of their sustainable development goals. So considering a current situation in our country and across the globe, the burning question is, can we have 100% renewable energy? Is it illusion or reality? So this is the topic of today's discussion. So then, what is the purpose or objective of this webinar? See, as a common people, and even those who are policy makers, that means government people, those who are working in key position in the government, okay, we need to understand that our responsibility to maximize benefits of clean energy, not only for us, but mainly for our future generation. And for that, we need to take necessary actions. So it is possible to make a transition from non-renewable to renewable energy dependent world. Currently, our country is hugely dependent on fossil fuels import. So this is a burning question, and same with many countries across the globe. So, and this problem is not new. So what I found was, there was a study conducted by World Future Council, I think in 2014-15, that means 6-7 years back. And what they have done, they have selected 8 case studies across the globe based on some criteria. And why these 8 examples for case study? Because these 8 examples are already taking measures for achieving 100% renewable energy. So they are already started their journey for this transition from non-renewable to 100% renewable energy. So the discussion is based on the above study, which was conducted by World Future Council. So quick instructions. The duration of webinar is 30 minutes. Mainly the nature of this webinar is sharing information and subsequent discussion. So when information is being shared, I request you to switch off your microphone. Welcome, Agar sir. Hello. Yeah. So you can participate in the discussion by raising your hand and unmuting yourself for better coordination. And we can have last 5 to 10 minutes. We can take few genuine questions. So why we need to make this transition happen? Basically, the transition from non-renewable energy dependency to 100% renewable energy. So this transition is very important to improve the quality of millions of people. Like if you look at this current scenario, sorry, there are there are many countries facing the after effects of greenhouse gas emissions. And why this is happening? Because we are moving towards blind industrialization just because of economic growth, and that is leading for health related and environmental issues. Why? Because most of the countries are already burning fossil fuels, okay, which is leading for the climate change, impact on climate change. So it is urgency in a global or into a global efforts to rapidly diversify away from using the fossil fuels. So can it be possible that can we shift from non-renewable to renewable as soon as possible to avoid all these effects? So we see many a times in newspaper or discussion the greenhouse effect and global temperature rising, but there are very few efforts for implementation to change this scenario for making transition from non-renewable to renewable. Now, this will require a paradigm shift. So it will be a totally change in the society if we do this transition. So if we think about clean and green energy, a shift from a system based on extracting energy sources from the ground towards one which are based on harnessing natural and abundant flows from air, water, and the sun. Because these three are main natural resources that we can use to generate our energy. That is totally renewable. So it is a challenge of this century to make this transition a reality. So now the major question is how to do that. What are the strategies or what are the measures? So as I explained before when we started this webinar during introduction, World Future Council who conducted this study, they found these 5 key points which can be considered as a measures to do this transition. So what they found we need to make energy efficiency a top priority. So it is applicable to from common people to government policy makers. So how we can do that? So we need to develop more efficient energy infrastructure with locally available resources. So it means if in your area or in your country, if you are getting abundant water or sunlight, so try to utilize those natural resources locally available to make the energy. So that should be a top priority. This is one of the measures. Secondly, they suggested electrifying the heating or cooling system and a transport sector. So cooling and heating system and a transport sector, they are 2 key sectors where maximum fossil fuels or the energy is being consumed by burning petroleum, gasoline, whatsoever. So shifting our dependency of heating as well as transport sector to greater reliance on electricity that is generated from natural resources. So this is the second major World Future Council suggested. You electrify whatever possible for you for heating and transport sector from clean energy or from clean energy resources. Then third important point they told, so maximize opportunities for citizen participation and the development of new business models. So any implementation requires the participation from common people or citizens of any country. So we have to provide the opportunities for local businesses and the citizens to participate on this clean energy drive. That means allow open participation in the development and financing of energy infrastructure. Like now government is giving subsidy for establishing a solar plant or even household solar plant. So that is one measure. So many such measures can be encouraged to have a maximum opportunities to generate new business models. So governments need to implement a policy framework that allow the new business model to emerge and foster sustained citizen engagement. Then the fourth point they suggested, we need to educate and inform citizens and business houses. So if you look at the consumption, this main consumption is from big companies or big corporations or big industries. They consume a lot of fossil fuels, and citizens as well. Maybe as identified second point, mainly in transport sector and heating and cooling sector. So as local opposition to energy infrastructure can be major barrier to achieving 100% renewable energy. So we need to educate people, then business house, fostering their engagement and improving public participation. That must be a top priority for policymakers. So unless and until your common people involved in this, no country can have successful implementation. So we have to educate and inform citizens and business houses. And the fifth point I identified, adopt an integrated approach to fiscal, economic, and energy policy. So it means a successful 100% renewable energy strategy requires an integrated approach. So integrated approach means government has many departments and policies of those departments. So there has to be a better coordination across this department, and they should work out the integrated way to connect these policies as fiscal, energy, economic, and which led to an infrastructure. So there has to be a better coordination which integrates across different departments of the government so as to come up with a accepted policy. So it requires, as mentioned here, collaboration across government departments as well as between all levels of society. So when World Future Council conducted the study, they concluded these 5 points can be the measures to shift from non-renewable to renewable energy sources. Moving forward. Okay. So as explained before, they shortlisted few examples, to be precise 8 examples across the globe. Though those examples are already, they are in the path of achieving 100% renewable energy. So any model or examples of journey towards this? Yes. So there are 8 examples or case studies around the world that have either developed or in the verge of implementing 100% renewable energy strategies. So what are those examples? So those examples are case studies mentioned here under the category cities and communities: Frankfurt in Germany, San Francisco in United States. Then second category, regions and states. So World Future Council identified instruct this region in Germany and Fukushima prefecture in Japan. So Fukushima is already known for 2011 tsunami disaster. So that region is already started implementing 100% renewable energy. So this was the second example they selected. The third category was governments, national governments. So they've selected in that Cape Verde, that is actually a small country with different islands connected together, and Denmark. And fourth category was island government, and under that very small country again, Tuvalu and Al Hierro in Spain. So these are 8 examples in 4 categories. Okay, they shortlisted are models for achieving or studying 100% renewable energy transformation. So what they have mentioned here is, in some cases such as Tuvalu and Cape Verde, okay, the implementation is still underway and is at a relatively early stage of development. But in some other cases like Rensselaer in Germany, they have already achieved 100% renewable energy electricity target, and they have already been surpassed that 100%, and they are producing a 200% for electricity. That's what the report says. So it is a commendable achievement. They have totally shifted to 100% renewable energy for electricity production. So what was the selection criteria for choosing above case studies? They took, the first criteria was applicability. That means for achieving clear target to supply 100% of either electricity or heating cooling system or transportation sector. So how they have applied this implementation. Then second criteria was geographic representation. So they have selected different parts of the world, and across the different parts of the world, they have chosen these regions or cities. So they have already shortlisted from Asia Pacific, Africa, America, and Europe. The third criteria for this selection was diversity in energy targets. That means to focus not only on electricity, but also on renewable energy like transportation, cooling, heating, and whatsoever. So it's not only target for giving household electricity from 100% renewable energy, but in different sectors where the fossil fuels are consumed to give energy. The fourth criteria was level of the government. So it includes different levels of government, maybe city, community level, or then state or regional governments or national governments. So these were 4 selection criteria to choose the 8 examples. Yeah. So what were the key findings? The key findings after studying these 8 examples, the World Future Council came across these points. First was achieving 100% renewable energy can generate significant cost saving. So there is a misconception that if we want to implement renewable energy sources, we have to invest a lot of money in that. But these examples have shown that actually by reducing and consuming the fossil fuel and implementing renewable energy sources such as diesel or fuel oil, substituting them with local renewable energy sources, you can, or a country or a region can save the considerable cost. So that misconception we have to remove, that implementing renewable energy always required a lot of cost involved in it. So that was the first key finding. What was the second key finding? 100% strategies are not just for wealthiest countries. So this is another actually misconception, that this can be possible only richer countries or developed countries because they have a lot of money to invest. But that is also proven to be wrong. Like they already found a small island like Tuvalu in South Pacific. They are demonstrating the least developed countries can experience significant direct benefits through the reduction of diesel imports. So such a small island in South Pacific, they are already implementing that. And that island, even no one noticing that. So it is not a wealthiest region, but still, maybe because of region is small, but still they could implement 100% strategy, at least for one sector, or they are in the path of achieving that. So it is misconception that it is only wealthiest countries can implement this. The third key finding was transporting to 100% renewable energy can mitigate risk and make countries more resilient. So building resilience is one of the key benefits for countries, regions, districts, cities, and communities around the world. So 100% renewable energy systems mitigate risk by reducing exposure to volatile fossil fuel prices. See, we are right now witnessing our country, the skyrocketed price of petrol, diesel, gas, the risk of fuel supply disruptions, as well as the risk of excessive import dependency. So India's major part of the budget is spent in importing crude oil and then gold. So they found that you can manage that risk if we try to transform from dependency from fossil fuel to renewable energy sources. Then fourth key finding was committing to 100% renewable energy can generate new economic activity, creating jobs and improve life quality. This is a very important point they have observed. So when you have started implementing 100% renewable energy, they can also generate new jobs or stimulate new job creation and lead to clear improvements of quality of people's life, because it's a clean energy, right? Very minimum side effects. So new business models, those who are scaling for renewable energy and providing energy services, can help locally produce energy sources and improve reliability. So if we start really implementing with the help of local available sources, definitely there will be a boost of the economy, which will create more jobs and a new economic activity across the region. And what was the last key finding? They found that achieving a fully 100% renewable energy system will require significantly expanding renewable energy in heating, cooling, and transport sector. So what they observed when they studied across the globe, apart from producing electricity, the major contribution of greenhouse gases and the atmospheric degradation is due to the transportation, the consumption in transportation and heating and cooling systems. So these examples suggest that significant expansion of renewable energy in both the transport and heating and cooling sectors will need to become a strategic priority to achieve 100% renewable energy. So the key focus, if you really want to achieve a target and get the good result on your citizen in terms of health, infrastructure, is shifting to 100% renewable energy in cooling and transport sectors. These are main important sectors. So these key findings they have observed, and yeah, so it shows that this study shows that 100% renewable energy is possible provided these strategies and these key findings are implemented. So yes, it is a challenge, but it's not like that any country or no one can achieve it. So that was the overall picture of these findings. So any question or reflection? Akbar sir can reflect.
A wonderful session.
Hello.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
little louder.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Thank
Have
you,
you
sir.
understood?
Thank you
Though
for
you are
wonderful
joined
session.
late.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understood.
Was it fruitful or what you felt?
No, sir. It's a wonderful session.
Yeah.
Just I want to ask one question.
Yeah.
Sir,
Sir,
in the
your
solar,
voice is very low actually.
actually, sir, I am not well.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Sir, I want to ask one question, sir.
Yes.
In the renewable energy sources, the means it affects on environment or not, means that like fossil fuels and everything.
Yeah. So it is leading for greenhouse gases. Na? When we are consuming fossil fuels, that means petrol, diesel, burning. So it is ultimately affecting the environment. That's what your question is, na?
Yes, sir.
So,
And
and
one more question.
ultimately, it not only affecting the environment, it is actually affecting our lives as well. There are many problems because of pollution. A recent example you can say you can see in the Delhi, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
You wanted to ask something.
No, no, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Thank you, Akbar, for joining and sharing your views. Thanks very much.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, sir.